It all started innocently enough, like any other Tinder match. James's profile picture showed a handsome young man with a charming smile, his eyes twinkling with mischief. We hit it off right away, chatting for hours on end about everything under the sun. He seemed perfect, adventurous, witty, and utterly captivating. After 3 days of nonstop messaging, James suggested we meet up for a date. Excitement bubbled within me as I got ready, butterflies fluttering in my stomach at the thought of finally meeting him in person. I spent hours picking out the perfect outfit, hoping to make a good impression on the man who had captured my heart through a screen. As I arrived at the cozy coffee shop where we had agreed to meet, I couldn't contain my excitement. But as minutes turned into hours, and James failed to show up, a sinking feeling began to settle in the pit of my stomach. Frantically checking my phone for any messages or missed calls, I felt a sense of unease creeping over me. Just as I was about to give up hope and leave, a voice interrupted my thoughts. "Excuse me, are you Emily?" I turned to see a man standing before me, but he looked nothing like James. He was older, perhaps in his 60s, with a leering grin that sent shivers down my spine. Instinctively, I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest as I tried to make sense of the situation. "Sorry, I must have mistaken you for someone else," I said, my voice trembling with fear. After the unsettling encounter, I booked a cab and hurried home, relieved to be away from the stranger who had approached me. I thought I was safe as I climbed into bed, trying to shake off the feeling of unease that lingered in the back of my mind. But as I drifted off to sleep, a loud crash shattered the silence of the night, jolting me awake with a start. Heart pounding in my chest, I listened intently, straining to make sense of the noise. And then, I heard it, the sound of footsteps echoing through the darkness, growing louder and closer with each passing moment. Panic surged through me as I realized that someone was in my house, their intentions unknown. Without a moment's hesitation, I raced to the bathroom and locked the door behind me, my heart pounding in my ears as I huddled in the corner, praying for help to arrive before it was too late. Tears streamed down my face as I listened to the sound of my own ragged breaths, the terror of the situation closing in around me. That guy tried every possible way to break the door. Minutes passed like hours as I waited in breathless anticipation, every sound magnified to deafening proportions in the suffocating silence of the bathroom. And then, finally, after a whole 20 minutes of waiting there, the distant wail of sirens pierced the air, followed by the shouts of police officers as they stormed into the house. With a sense of overwhelming relief, I emerged from my hiding place, tears streaming down my face as I collapsed into the arms of my rescuers. The intruder was apprehended and taken into custody, his twisted intentions laid bare for all to see. As I recounted my harrowing ordeal to the police, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. In the days that followed, I struggled to come to terms with what had happened to me, haunted by the memory of that terrifying night. Though I would never forget the terror of that Tinder date gone horribly wrong, I refused to let it define me. With each passing day, I grew stronger, my resolve unshakable as I faced the future with courage and determination. And though the scars of that night would always remain, they served as a reminder of my strength and resilience in the face of unimaginable darkness. If you are liking the stories, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel before I start the second story. As a 23-year-old navigating the treacherous waters of the dating world, Tinder seemed like a promising avenue to find love. It was there that I stumbled upon her profile. Emma, with her captivating smile and sparkling eyes, she seemed like the perfect match. Our initial conversations were filled with laughter and shared interests, and I found myself drawn to her magnetic personality. Before long, we agreed to meet for our first date, a casual coffee at a quaint cafe in the heart of the city. At first, everything seemed to be going well. Emma was charming and engaging, her laughter ringing out like music in the air. But as our conversations progressed, I began to notice subtle signs of something amiss. She would laugh a little too loudly at my jokes, her eyes glinting with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. And whenever I mentioned my friends or family, her demeanor would darken, her smile faltering for just a moment before she regained her composure. Despite my growing unease, I brushed aside my doubts and agreed to a second date with Emma, But as the days passed, her behavior became increasingly erratic and possessive. She would bombard me with calls and texts, demanding to know where I was and who I was with at all times. It was during our second meeting that things took a truly sinister turn. As we sat across from each other at a dimly lit restaurant, Emma's eyes seemed to bore into my soul, her gaze unwavering and intense. She spoke in hushed tones, her words dripping with a venomous sweetness that sent alarm bells ringing in my mind. She confessed her undying love for me, prophesying that we were meant to be together forever. But beneath her saccharine words lurked a darkness that chilled me to the core. It was as if she were a predator, and I was her helpless prey. Terrified by her sudden shift in behavior, I made excuses to leave early, eager to put distance between myself and the woman who had sent shivers down my spine. But even as I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was watching me, her eyes burning into the back of my skull with a malevolent intensity. As days turned into weeks, I tried to put the memory of Emma behind me, determined to move on with my life. But her presence lingered like a shadow, haunting my every waking moment with a sense of unease that refused to dissipate. And then, one fateful day, I returned home to find a letter waiting for me on my doorstep. My hands trembled as I tore open the envelope, my heart pounding in my chest as I read the words scrawled across the page in Emma's familiar handwriting. In the letter, she professed her undying love for me once more, her words dripping with a madness that sent chills down my spine. She spoke of our future together, of the life we would share, as if it were an inevitability rather than a choice. But it was the final sentence that chilled me to the bone, a threat veiled in sweet words that sent a shiver down my spine. "I'll always be watching, my love," she wrote, her words a chilling reminder of the danger that lurked in the shadows. With a growing sense of unease, I came to the grim realization that Emma wasn't the person I thought she was. She exuded danger, a threat to anyone who came too close. Filing a complaint wasn't just about my own safety. It was about protecting others from falling prey to her twisted obsession. The revelation that the police were actively searching for Emma, in connection with the murder of another man who had rejected her advances, sent a chill down my spine. I couldn't shake the thought of what could have happened if I had continued to entertain her advances. It was a disturbing wake-up call, one that made me grateful for my decision to seek help and distance myself from her before it was too late. As a 25-year-old graphic designer tired of the dating scene in my small town, I decided to give Tinder a try. After swiping through countless profiles, I came across Max, a charming and adventurous guy who seemed perfect for me. We hit it off immediately, chatting late into the night about our shared interests and dreams. Max suggested meeting up for a date at a trendy bar downtown, and I eagerly agreed. But as I waited for him to arrive, I couldn't shake the feeling of nervous excitement tinged with apprehension. When Max finally showed up, my initial reservations were quickly swept away by his charismatic personality and infectious laughter. We shared drinks and stories, and I found myself drawn to him more than I ever expected. However, as the night progressed, I began to notice subtle signs that all may not be as it seemed. Max's jokes started to take on a darker edge, and his laughter became increasingly manic. Despite my growing unease, I brushed off my concerns, chalking it up to first date jitters. But when Max suggested we continue the night at his apartment, my instincts screamed at me to run. Ignoring the warning signs, I followed him back to his place, hoping that my fears were unfounded. As we entered Max's apartment, a chill ran down my spine at the sight of the dimly lit room. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and peculiar trinkets littered the coffee table, their purpose unknown and unsettling. Something felt off, but before I could voice my concerns, Max's demeanor changed in an instant. His charming smile morphed into a menacing grin, and I realized with horror that I had made a grave mistake. With a trembling hand, I managed to compose myself enough to book an Uber on my phone. As I waited for it to arrive, every second felt like an eternity, the air thick with tension and fear. When the car finally pulled up outside, I wasted no time in making my escape, fleeing into the night with my heart pounding in my chest. Though I may have left Max's apartment physically unharmed, the experience left me shaken to the core. Once home, I wasted no time in blocking his number and deleting his profile from Tinder. The encounter had been a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked behind even the most charming of facades, and I vowed never to let my guard down like that again. From that day forward, I approached online dating with a newfound sense of caution, knowing that danger could lurk behind even the most enticing of profiles.